Tonight on CTV News, a community in mourning.
These kids become part of our family.
It broke my heart to find out that these hockey players, so young, with bright futures, lost their lives.
3 junior hockey players are dead, killed on their way to a practice, 2 of them originally from BC. How the young men are being remembered. Also tonight.
The main reason we're here today is we're now asking anyone else who had contact with the doctor to come forward if they want to report a crime.
A Vancouver doctor charged with sexually assaulting 2 patients, both of them in their teens. Why police say there could be more alleged victims. And
not paying anything is a pretty good deal to be able to keep the team here.
Sweetheart deal or franchise savior, the new offer to try and keep the Vancouver Whitecaps at BC Place.
This is CTV News with Nafisa Kareem.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. The city of Kamloops is mourning the loss of 2 teenage hockey players who died along with an American teammate in a collision on their way to practice in a small Alberta town yesterday morning. CTV's Shannon Patterson has the latest on the investigation and how the young players are being remembered.
Outside the arena in the small Alberta town of Staveley, the jerseys of 3 young hockey players killed when their car collided with a semi-truck on their way to practice Monday morning.
It broke my heart to find out that these hockey players, so young, with bright futures, lost their lives.
All 3 boys played for the Southern Alberta Mustangs in the United States Premier Hockey League. 17-year-old Caden Fine was from Alabama, and 18-year-olds Cameron Casorso and J.J. Wright were from Kamloops.
He was a great person. He was just a joy to be around. He was always had a smile on his face. He was one of the most outgoing guys I know, and he loved hockey. I used to go out in my backyard, and he would put on his pads and we'd shoot around take shootouts for hours and hours in the dark, and yeah, that was probably some of my best memories with him.
JJ was your consummate hockey player, just tough, gritty, hard-nosed. We had a brief meeting with his mom and dad yesterday. My son and I went to their house. What can you say, right? They lost their son. They're trying to pick up the pieces.
This is not going to affect just 2 families in Kamloops. It's going to affect all of the kids that played hockey with Cameron and JJ over the years, all of the coaches that coached them, the refs, the other parents.
Southern Alberta RCMP are investigating the collision on the remote stretch of highway entering Staveley, about 100 kilometers south of Calgary.
RCMP Collision Reconstruction has attended the scene, and it takes a while for them to do all of their investigation and calculations. So it's still ongoing, but preliminary investigation shows that the semi-vehicle was traveling northbound on Highway 2, and the passenger vehicle was going eastbound across Highway 2 at the time of the collision.
The Mustangs asked a billet mom to act as their spokesperson for this tragic loss.
To their families, I know there are no words that can make this loss less brutal. Your sons mattered, and they will be spoken of with love in our towns for a long time to come.
There will be a benefit game at the Staveley Arena on Sunday to raise money for the players' families.
These young men were loved here. They will be remembered here, and their loss will forever remind us of just how precious our time together truly is.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
The Premier is once again voicing his displeasure with the police response to the extortion crisis south of the Fraser. David Eby says he's concerned over inconsistent communications between the police and the community, adding changes are on the way. CTV's Ben Nesbitt reports.
Fresh off a trip to Ottawa, Premier David Eby met with members of the Surrey business community Tuesday to hear their concerns. He then voiced his own.
When I meet with police leadership, they assure me that they are on top of this, that people are receiving the best possible response, that there are no additional resources that are needed. But when I meet with community leadership, they say that that is not their experience.
Eby says some victims have said police haven't called them back or haven't shown up at all. He says the province will be forming a new community advisory group to work with the task force to identify gaps to improve communication between all parties.
We will be selecting community members who will work with police to ensure that they understand the frontline experience of people.
Business leaders say the crisis continues to have devastating effects.
There are realtors, those are top performers, don't want to come up and they show their faces. And this is very, very unfortunate, and the business is hurting like crazy.
Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke agrees with EB that communication has to be better.
We haven't had the kind of communication that I would have hoped for. Certainly, that is something that I think is critically important. And so I think this advisory board will be very helpful in that regard.
EB is also urging the federal government to fast-track 2 bills that would change Canada's criminal code and immigration laws. Changes, he says, would give police more tools to deal with extortion, including closing loopholes that let some foreign nationals claim refugee status after being arrested.
The idea is ludicrous that somebody involved in functionally, from my perspective, a terror attack in our community that is ongoing is allowed to claim the benefits of refugee status.
EB says RCMP Commissioner Mike Duhane will meet with the BC Task Force and Surrey Police this week to make sure there's a unified response and consistent communication with the public. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News, Vancouver.
A stabbing after a high school basketball game in Vancouver has left a teenager with serious injuries.
During the game, there were some tensions that arose between the two schools. High stakes game with playoff implications, fans from both schools watching, and there were some conflicts that arose amongst the spectators during that game. Those conflicts spilled over into the hallways of the high school when the game ended and resulted, unfortunately, in this very serious assault.
Police say an 18-year-old boy is now recovering after being stabbed in the arm. It happened last night at Eric Hammer Secondary following a game against Killarney Secondary. No arrests have been made. Additional school liaison officers are being sent to both schools to provide students with a sense of security. Anyone with video of the fight or the game is being asked to submit it to an online portal on the VPD website. Tonight, some disturbing allegations against a Vancouver doctor. He's been charged with sexually assaulting 2 teenage patients over a number of years. As CTV's Martin McMahon reports, police are now asking other potential victims to come forward.
65-year-old Herman Howman Lee is charged with a series of sex-related offenses committed against teenage patients, including sexual assault and sexual interference. Vancouver police say they began investigating Lee in 2023 after a 17-year-old girl reported being sexually assaulted by a doctor at this clinic in Chinatown between 2018 and 2022. Lee also faces 1 count each of sex assault and sexual interference involving a 14-year-old girl at a medical clinic in Burnaby in 2015.
The main reason we're here today is we're now asking anyone else who had contact with the doctor to come forward if they want to report a crime. We know that it is always a personal decision for anyone to come forward and report a sexual assault, and we understand that. For some, that decision may take time.
In a statement, the College of Physicians and Surgeons of BC says it's aware of the criminal charges against Dr. Herman Lee and cannot speak to the specifics as the case is before the courts. It adds when there is a charge against a doctor, its inquiry committee can consider if it's in the public interest to impose limits on a doctor's practice, including suspending a registrant's license, or it can seek other practice conditions that could mirror bail conditions. When asked why the investigation took nearly 3 years, police said part of the issue is that Lee spent time in China.
It's dealing with the victims and statements and corroborating what they have to say, and part of it was Dr. Lee left the country for a period of time.
None of the charges have been proven in court. Lee continues to practice family medicine, but can only treat those younger than 16 years of age with another adult present. Kiefer Medical did not respond to our request for comment by broadcast deadline. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
A former lawyer accused of killing a lecturer at Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops nearly 4 years ago has been convicted of first-degree murder. The judge says the killing was planned and deliberate, rejecting any suggestion it happened spontaneously. Rogelio Butch Bagabuyo was found to have stabbed Maud Abdullah at his office and then smuggled the body out in a plastic tote. The court heard that Abdullah had hired Bagabuyo years earlier, but tensions grew after nearly $800,000 went missing. Prosecutors argued Bagabuyo carried out the murder after realizing he could no longer keep Abdullah from demanding his money back. The province says it's stepping in to keep the Whitecaps playing at BC Place. The latest pitch that would see the Crown Corporation operate at net zero. That story in just a moment. Let's take a look outside at Robson Street. You can see the road is wet.
What is going on out there? Yes, a line of showers has moved its way through. It's not expected to last very long. Right now, here's a look at temperatures across the lower mainland. Pretty warm out there considering 11 degrees at the Harper as well as in Burnaby. You're looking at 15 degrees right now, or 10 degrees right now in Pitt Meadows, 11 in Chilliwack, as well as 11 in White Rock. So as we head through the overnight, we will see a few clouds, a mild 7 degrees. Into tomorrow, it'll be very warm, very spring-like. Get outside and enjoy it. A mix of sun and cloud with a high of 14.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next vacation by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
Warm and dry for the next few days. I've got your full forecast coming in.
I'll take it. Thanks, Sam.
You're welcome.
Well, despite coming off the best season in franchise history, the Vancouver Whitecaps' long-term future in the city is still uncertain. The team is looking for a new owner and says playing at BC Place isn't sustainable. But as CTV's Kevin Chirac reports, the province is exploring new ways to keep the Caps in town.
Send Vancouver to the conference final.
Just weeks before kickoff of a new season, the Vancouver Whitecaps CEO says business at BC Place just isn't working.
From our side, it feels like there's nothing left.
That was team CEO Axel Schuster on Friday. The team's been up for sale since late 2024, and Schuster says there are no interested buyers, citing the team's challenges in turning a profit while playing in BC Place, which is run by the provincial government agency PAVCO. But today, the provincial government says it's made an offer on a new lease deal at BC Place.
PAVCO makes about $1.5 million of profit from the stadium arrangement that they have in place. And yesterday's package that we offered them commits to returning the entirety of those profits back to them so that they'll be operating at net zero for all the Whitecaps games going forward.
In other words, the province says it's willing to give up all of its profits from Whitecaps games at BC Place. But Schuster says it's not enough, telling CTV News in part via statement, unfortunately, our gap between being top 7 in attendance and last in revenue is so significant that this effort alone isn't the game changer that is needed for long-term sustainability. The back and forth between the Whitecaps and PAVCO are ongoing, but Callan says there's only so much the government can offer.
We have to find that balance between making sure that they can be viable as well. The taxpayers are not operating and running a professional sports team.
Just before the new year, the City of Vancouver and the Whitecaps signed an MOU to enter exclusive talks on a proposed new stadium and entertainment district at Hastings Park. But a new stadium could be several years away. Today, the mayor urging the province to get the deal done with BC Place.
I would really implore that the province, sharpen their pencils and support the Whitecaps, because we're talking about a generational asset that is incredible. It's so important to the residents of Vancouver, but it also makes a lot of economic sense.
Schuster says the team's committed on working to find a long-term solution to stay in Vancouver. The province says talks between the two are happening daily. Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Vancouver.
The abrupt closure of a Vancouver overdose prevention site in the downtown core has come as a surprise to many. The local health authority only had a few weeks to leave the site, all while drug poisonings are rising at a rapid rate. As CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports, there's concern for people's lives and what this could mean for public safety.
The Thomas Donaghy overdose prevention site at 1060 House Street was meant to be discreet. It allowed people to inhale substances and wasn't visible from the street. But less than 2 years after opening, it's been forced to close.
So it's really unfortunate now that it has to close.
The directive came from the building's owner, Prima Properties. CTV News reached out for comment but did not receive a response. Vancouver Coastal Health and the site's operator, Rain City, were given 3 weeks to leave.
Not a lot of time, and unfortunately, we have not yet been able to identify another location in the neighborhood.
City Councillor Peter Meisner says he was surprised, but was aware of complaints from neighbours around public drug use and disorder. The OPS had to move from its previous location at Seymour and Helmkin Streets after complaints.
So we need to be really cognizant of what's next to them. So perhaps, putting a site next to a residential building, like it's not an ideal location in terms of impacts.
Sometimes things don't work for the neighborhoods. You have to provide a lot of different services, a lot of which aren't in the City of Vancouver's jurisdiction.
VCH says it was acting as a good neighbor and hired security. A group representing downtown businesses says it saw an improvement at the new site and is concerned the closure will contribute to public drug use.
Nobody wants to see more overdoses. I think we can all agree on that. As a business community, we really don't want to see an increase in open drug use.
Coastal Health says this part of Vancouver has the second highest rate of overdose deaths.
It doesn't make any sense. This is a big step backward.
The decision comes as a powerful veterinary sedative called medetomidine is in the unregulated drug supply.
We're debating the lives of people here. And to me, where's the humanity?
VCH says a mobile van will be used in the meantime, but that it's becoming increasingly challenging to find locations that meet everyone's needs. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
Still ahead, pushing back against a controversial plan for a popular park.
All of the commercial dog walkers are unfortunately going to kind of be shushed into one area.
The move to not just reduce the number of off-leash trails, but ban dogs from some areas altogether. And later, how a runaway emu started a new Groundhog Day tradition in an Ontario town. We'll introduce you to Enzo and her escapist antics. CTV News at 6 continues. Canada's Jeremy Hansen will not be heading to space this month after NASA delayed the launch of its Artemis 2 moon rocket. Yesterday's critical fuel test stalled with just over 5 minutes left in the countdown. NASA made the call to delay the launch after multiple fuel leaks during the test. It's now looking at a new launch date, possibly as early as March 6th. It's also possible it may not happen until April. Hansen and the other 3 members of the crew will be moved out of quarantine. NASA plans to use the extra time to review the data and try another fuel test. Metro Vancouver's Regional Parks Committee will vote on a proposal tomorrow that could change the way people use Pacific Spirit Park, particularly those with four-legged friends. CTV's Ben Milger reports the new plan doesn't sit well with some park users who believe it could lead to more conflict on the trails.
Proposed changes to the off-leash trail network have some Pacific Spirit Park users barking mad.
It'll severely impact because there's no continuous routes anymore, and what routes there are, they're kind of disjointed.
In a report to Metro Vancouver's Regional Parks Committee, staff recommend the changes to reduce conflict on the trails and protect sensitive ecological areas. A review identified 398 dog-related safety incidents in the park over a 5-year period.
There are some very serious injuries in there. We take those seriously, and we want to improve that situation so everybody can have a safe, enjoyable visit in the park.
Because of certain weekday restrictions, the off-leash trail network varies from 58 to 65%. That could be reduced to 51%.
All of the commercial dog walkers are unfortunately going to kind of be shushed into one area, which will make it overpopulated.
If the proposed changes are approved, park users can expect to see new maps and signage go up over the coming months, followed by increased bylaw enforcement, including potential fines for those who don't follow the new rules. Park staff say during the public consultation phase, many people requested more enforcement.
A lot of the problems that we are faced with would be manageable if they had more people patrolling.
It's something park staff plan to follow through on.
Currently, about 65% of the dogs on leash required trails are not leashed. So compliance is not good.
Not everyone in the park has concerns about the proposed changes, saying there is still plenty of room for Rover to roam.
There's still going to be a number of trails that are accessible to dogs off leash.
If passed, the changes will take effect in May. Park staff say they will monitor the rollout and be ready to adapt the plan if necessary. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
After the break, up in flames. 3 luxury yachts burn in a BC marina, all of the boats loaded with diesel fuel. The rush to contain the environmental risk as the vessels now sit on the ocean floor. Cleanup is underway at a marina on Vancouver Island where 3 luxury yachts caught fire and sank over the weekend. The boats were loaded with fuel and are now in the process of being hauled out of the water. CTV's Brendan Strain has more on the cleanup and efforts to minimize environmental damage.
As a large marine crane lifts the first of 3 luxury yachts from the sea floor at Van Isle Marina in Sydney, monitoring the situation is a crew from Western Canada Marine Response, hired by the marina.
We're part of a federal system for managing oil spills in Canada.
Early Sunday morning, the City Fire Department got a report of a blaze at the fuel dock. Approximately 1 minute later, that call was upgraded to 3 vessels, fully engulfed by fire.
It's very evident it was a large fuel-rich fire.
Fire crews quickly hooked up its specialized marine fire protection pumps.
That enables us to quickly respond down the dock, and each pump has a 550 gallon per minute capacity.
Crews were unable to save the 3 vessels, although that equipment did allow crews to spare the adjacent boats from the same fate. Early in the department's response, the chief contacted the Ministry of Environment, Coast Guard, and the West Coast Marine Response Group that recently added 6 new bases, one at the marina, coinciding with increased tanker traffic through our shipping lanes.
Fully understanding that there was going to be environmental implications of this incident.
In the first 24 hours of that response, our efforts were really focused on containing the marine diesel that was released during the fire from the 3 yachts.
Containment booms were set up. Then crews moved into a process called mechanical recovery, using skimmers and absorbent pads to remove the diesel from the surface of the water. It's unclear how much fuel was on the 3 vessels, although what the agency can say is that they've already recovered 20,000 liters of oily water.
And then also about 29 to 30 bags of solid waste, those absorbent pads.
Now that the salvage operation is underway, West Coast Marine Response will monitor what remaining fuel escapes the burned luxury yachts as they are loaded onto this barge.
So we'll remain on scene until that's wrapped up.
While monitoring the area, including the shoreline, for any fuel that has escaped the containment area. Brendan Strain, CTV News, Sydney.
A group of Vancouver Island First Nations says it needs to correct misinformation coming from a debate over changes to salmon fishing allocations. The new Chalnuth Tribal Council says it and other First Nations are not trying to hurt recreational or sport fishing industries. The message comes as groups representing commercial and recreational salmon fisheries say they are concerned about changes coming to salmon allocations on BC's coast. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans is engaged in a policy review stemming from a Supreme Court ruling that found current allocations infringe on Aboriginal fishing rights.
We just want people to know that this is a Section 35 right. It's important for First Nations to get our share of the allocation, but we certainly support and do work with the sport fishery on dividing this allocation and the commercial fishery. We think it's important that, we let people know that, but we also are going to make sure that we get our fair share.
The nation says they are not looking to shut people out of the water, just wants an outdated policy and language change to reflect the legal priority of First Nations fisheries and remove elements that contradict its constitutional rights. The island's recreational salmon fishery has made it clear significant changes could seriously impact business.
Strain, CTV.
After the break, an emu breaks free and hilariously starts a new Groundhog Day tradition for an Ontario town. Plus,
we could study this till the cows come home. There's not going to be a magic solution for this.
Australia's already done it. Should Canada follow suit? The latest on calls for Canada to restrict social media usage to protect kids. Stephen Harper's official portrait was unveiled at the Sir John A. Macdonald building in downtown Ottawa today. It was painted by Canadian artist Phil Richards, who has done many famous portraits over the years, including the Diamond Jubilee portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Every former prime minister has a portrait hanging at Parliament Hill. Harper's comes nearly 20 years after his Conservatives formed government.
Now, I know that there are many here who have been looking forward for a long time to my public hanging. And these public hangings, my friends, are humbling for the condemned man.
Harper's Conservatives formed government on February 6, 2006. He stepped down in 2015 after his party lost the election to Justin Trudeau's Liberals. Well, while it's usually groundhogs that bring news of an early spring, a much larger and less traditional creature stole the spotlight in one Ontario town. An emu named Enzo made her own prediction after escaping from the rescue where she lives. She took an unexpected stroll through town, and while on the run, she explored like a true tourist, inspecting yards, admiring scenery, and drawing crowds. At one point, the rescue says she stopped, looked down, and saw her shadow.
People walking their dogs stopped taking videos. People pulled to the side of the road in cars because nobody knew what to do with an emu. She did escape on Groundhog Day, and that took off. Great on social media. So Enzo is now the new Wyerton Willie of Almont.
And as for Wyerton Willie, in case you missed it, he didn't see his shadow, raising hopes of an early spring. The job field is getting crowded. Now we have emus doing the prognosticating.
I know. What's going to happen here?
We're not going to replace you with an ostrich, okay?
Okay, that's good. I was worried about that, but yeah, Enzo, you stay where you are. Know your town. All right, let's take a look at our forecast right now. As we head into tomorrow, heavy rainfall expected for the North Coast inland sections and the coastal sections with a yellow rainfall warning in effect. 80 to 120 millimeters of rain expected through the day tomorrow with strong winds gusting to about 70 to 90 kilometers an hour, all because of this low pressure system pushing its way in towards the North Coast. Different story for us on the south. We do have a ridge of high pressure that is building, and that's going to clear the clouds out of the way, and it's going to bring in some warm weather from south of the border. So we'll see temperatures well above seasonal, and it'll be very warm for the next few days. So get outside and enjoy the sunshine and warm temperatures. For the central coast and central interior, you'll see a mix of sun and cloud. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. Mostly cloudy conditions tomorrow for Port Hardy. A warm 15 degrees with some sunny breaks in there. You'll see 13 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud for Campbell River and Comox. Look at Tofino. Mostly cloudy skies, sunny breaks, 15 degrees. 13s from Port Alberni right down to Victoria. You'll enjoy a mix of sun and cloud as well for the Sunshine Coast. 13 degrees, partly cloudy skies. A few clouds as you make your way up the Sea to Sky Highway. 12 for Squamish, 8 for Whistler, and for us across the Lower Mainland. We're looking at a mix of sun and cloud, and look at these warm temperatures between 14 and 15 degrees. Yeah, just a reminder, we're still in winter. It won't feel like that tomorrow. And then as we head into Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud. It does cool down, still above seasonal at 11 degrees. 10 degrees for Friday to finish off the work week under a mix of sun and cloud. And then the rain returns on Saturday. It'll be very soggy with a high of 10 degrees. Sunday, unsettled, mostly cloudy skies, a few showers and 9 degrees. And we're back to seasonal temperatures on Monday with some light rain. Tuesday, it does clear up. Slight chance of early morning showers with some sun through the afternoon. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So full spring in full swing for the next few days. Enjoy it. And as you like to say, patio weather for sure. And I think a lot of people will be out there.
Sunglasses. Thanks, Sam.
You're welcome.
Well, there were calls for change on Parliament Hill today where advocates are pushing lawmakers to pass an online safety act. It comes as some other countries introduce laws restricting social media use for children. CTV's Mark Villani has more.
With a few strokes of a keyboard or a simple scroll on social media, children are exposed to dangers online that some parents don't see.
Children are being harmed at scale every single day, from grooming to cyberbullying, sextortion.
Child safety advocates warn that children are being targeted by social media algorithms, AI chatbots, and other online technologies. It's why they're calling on Ottawa to stop stalling and pass a comprehensive online safety act.
We've seen governments like Australia and France leading the way, introducing social media age restrictions, which is an important step. But we're urging our government to go much further.
Austin and others are calling for the implementation of an independent online regulator, enhanced safeguards for AI, and stronger age-appropriate standards to prevent youths from being targeted.
Social media acts as like an evil mirror. It highlights our insecurities while setting the bar for what we must attain to an impossible level.
But it's a massive challenge as social media giants fight back.
It's incredibly lucrative to companies. Think of all the things that kids buy. They don't really want very strict laws because then they could be sued for a huge amount of money.
Meanwhile, in the United States, a lawsuit is unfolding, claiming social media companies prioritize engagement over safety. The family of BC teenager Amanda Todd is part of those court proceedings. She tragically took her life in 2012, detailing relentless online bullying. Her mom says more government oversight in Canada is needed to keep kids safe.
Because the cyberbullying and predatory behaviors also happen on communication apps like WhatsApp. A restriction is good, but who's going to monitor it?
Canada's Heritage Minister says we all want our children to be safe as they navigate the digital world. Our government intends to act swiftly to better protect Canadians, and we'll have more details to share in due course.
We don't need more studies. We have mountains of evidence.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
After the break, sticker shock after an Ontario woman's pet insurance premiums doubled.
Your dog is older. And I'm like, yeah, that was a point of insurance.
Why premiums are skyrocketing and what you could do on your own that could save you thousands instead.
Time now for tonight's Skywatch. Early morning in downtown Vancouver with the sails of Canada Place under bright and slightly hazy skies.
CTV Skywatch is brought to you by Kermac Collision and Autoglass, the name you'll remember when it matters. Kermac cares for kids.
Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar traded for 73 cents to the American dollar. Oil was up $1.07, closing the day at $63.21 U.S. a barrel. Gold gaining $282 on the day. The TSX ended the day higher, up 204 points, while the Dow Jones was down 166 points. BMO has been fined $4 million for overcharging customers. The Financial Consumer Agency of Canada says the violations relate to charging clients monthly plan fees, which should have been waived or discounted. More than 101,000 customers were impacted between 2010 and 2024, and the bank has issued $3 million worth of refunds. The penalties relate to discounted bank accounts for newcomers, medical and dental students, Indigenous banking clients, as well as participants of a home financing promotion who were given incorrect information. It's estimated there are 14 million dogs and cats in Canada, but only about 3% of pet owners have invested in pet insurance. Pet insurance can help you in the event of unforeseen medical expenses, but the premiums can rise substantially as your pets get older. CTV's Pat Foran has more.
Is Rosie a good dog?
Oh, she's the best. She just loves people.
Elaine Sitter of Toronto has had Rosie, a Bichon poodle, since she was a puppy. Now 11 years old, Rosie continues to be a wonderful companion.
I love her. She's amazing. She's my little shadow.
Sitter says a former pet died young and had expensive veterinary bills, which is why she wanted Rosie to have pet insurance. The monthly premiums were manageable in the beginning, but in 2024 they rose to $286 a month. They jumped again the next year to $470 a month, and Sitter was told for this year the premiums would be $866 each month.
I want to live comfortably, and I want her to live comfortably as well, but I just can't justify that kind of money.
Sitter is insured with 24 Pet Watch. She called to get answers regarding the massive price hike.
Your dog is older. And I'm like, yeah, that was a point of insurance. And that I was on an old plan, and they weren't honoring that old plan any longer.
We contacted the parent company of 24 Pet Watch, Independence Pet Holdings. A spokesperson said monthly premiums have risen in recent years as veterinary costs continue to increase. As claim costs rise, insurers must adjust premiums to keep pace.
The rates for younger animals will always be less expensive than those for animals as they age.
Consumer Reports advises to shop around for pet insurance or self-insure with your own savings plan.
Meaning you have a lockbox where you put that money untouched in the event that your pet does need some sort of service.
That's a lot of money.
Sitter says over 11 years she paid $17,000 in premiums and now wishes she would have had her own savings plan instead.
I really wish that I wouldn't have bothered with insurance. I could have stuck $100 away a week and would have been fine.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
It's February, and that means the Heart and Stroke Foundation is out with its 2026 Heart Month report. It says while the death rate from heart disease and stroke has decreased more than 80% over the past 7 decades, more than 6 million Canadians are living with heart disease or stroke. It also revealed the adult smoking rate has declined to 11%, but remains the leading cause of preventable death. Nearly 1 in 4 adults report that most days are a bit or extremely stressful. Whovians rejoice. Fans now have a chance to own a piece of one of the biggest sci-fi shows in TV history. Memorabilia from the popular British series Doctor Who is up for auction this month. More than 300 lots spanning different series are on offer in the online auction running now until February 19th. Doctor Who travels through time in the TARDIS, a blue police telephone box. A number of now famous actors have played the role since the series was first broadcast by the BBC in 1963. The items all have a starting price of £100 or around 185 Canadian dollars. Part of the proceeds will go to charity. Coming up, a rescue mission of sheer will.
I had to untie the life jacket and I had to just swim to shore.
How a 13-year-old boy wound up swimming for hours to get help for his family who were swept out to sea. And later, elevator boy. Adam finds out how a 10-year-old's unique passion is lifting people's spirits. Coming up on the Sawatsky sign-off. Right now, here's Carrie with a preview of Your Morning Vancouver.
The impact of tariffs is being felt in BC, and one group is calling for action. Wednesday on Your Morning Vancouver, we'll hear about the struggle small businesses have been dealing with and what they'd like to see from governments, and why you may be paying more in financial fees than you think. We'll see you in the morning.
Hello? Well, look what TJ Maxx dragged in.
Sorry, who is this? Do you know her? Do I know
The official
her?
trailer has dropped for the much-anticipated sequel to The Devil Wears Prada. 20 years after the original, Meryl Streep's Miranda Priestly is reunited with Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt at Runway Magazine. You can catch The Devil Wears Prada 2 in theaters on May 1st. The opening ceremony for the Milano Cortina Olympics is not until Friday, but some of our athletes will begin competition tomorrow. Red Deer's Jocelyn Peterman and Brett Gallant of Charlottetown will begin round-robin play in mixed doubles curling against Czechia. It will be the 3rd consecutive Winter Games that Canada has qualified for the discipline since it debuted at Pyeongchang in 2018. The BC Lions are adding some NFL experience to their receiving group, signing former New Orleans Saints wide receiver Marquez Callaway. Callaway spent multiple seasons with the Saints, including a breakout year in 2021 when he posted nearly 700 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. Callaway also had stints with the Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and San Francisco 49ers before making the move to the CFL. Lions season ticket holders can now secure their seats for Touchdown Kelowna. For the first time in its 72-season history, the team has opened pre-sales for 2 regular season games in the Okanagan, against the Calgary Stampeders on June 27th and the Edmonton Elks July 4th. Tickets for the general public go on sale February 26th. A remarkable story of survival in Australia after a 13-year-old boy swam for hours to get help for his family who were swept away at sea.
I think at one point I was thinking of Thomas the Tank Engine, trying to get the happiest things in my head.
Well, it took 4 hours for Austin Appleby to reach shore while his mother, brother, and sister clung to 2 paddle boards, their oars lost, drifting 14 kilometers into open water. Austin initially took an inflatable kayak, but as it took on water, he abandoned it and his life jacket and swam the last 4 kilometers, which took him 2 hours. Once on land, Austin called for help, and his family was rescued. Wow, Austin, incredible.
Amazing.
That water did not look calm either, so good on him. We hear about Galentine's Day, but if you're not really in the mood for romance this Valentine's Day, a couple of BC animal charities have some unusual fundraisers that are allowing people to get a little revenge on their ex while helping animals in need.
Just $25 will enter your ex's name into a draw to name one of our rescue kittens after your ex. Then the rescue kitten will be spayed or neutered in honor of your ex, because some things shouldn't breed.
Tom. It's all part of the Regional Animal Protection Society's Neuter Your Ex campaign. It's not the only charity putting a spin on Valentine's Day. The Northern Spotted Owl Breeding Program is bringing back its No Regrets campaign. For a minimum donation of $5, you can name a rat after an ex, and then they feed it to an owl. I wonder if they'll film it.
Oh, I hope so. I would watch that for sure.
Well, am I the only one not on board? Like, it's sad.
Hey, look, owls got to eat.
Yeah, this is true.
Before we get to the Swatsky sign-off, Lauren Pullen is here with a look at the late news. Lauren.
Nafisa, YVR is reporting a record-breaking 2025. Ahead at 11:30, we'll have more on the milestone the airport reached. And we will be continuing to cover our top story, the tragic highway crash that claimed 3 junior hockey players' lives. We're hearing more from Kamloops, where 2 of the teen boys were from, as condolences and commemorations continue to pour in. Seth.
Right, thank you, Lauren. Well, finally, Adam finds out how a Surrey boy's unique passion inspired unexpected generosity and took one family's story to new heights. On tonight's Sawatsky Sign-Off.
Walking horizontally is one thing, but for Johnny Burke and his dad Corey, rising vertically is what today is all about.
It's because I love elevators.
It all began 3 years ago.
He just became fascinated.
Then 7-year-old Johnny, who's on the spectrum, started researching every detail about the elevators he'd encounter, from load capacity to model number.
It's not just a passing thing, it's a passion that he has.
So every weekend, Johnny and Corey would visit as many elevators as they could find.
You get on the elevator and press the floor you want to go to.
Johnny started filming each one.
It's a Schindler.
What kind of Schindler?
An HTC 38.
Before posting them on his Johnny Elevators YouTube page, which features more than 1,000 videos documenting which elevators were super smelly.
It was like smelling like cat litter.
And which ones were super speedy.
Holy smokes! Holy smokes! I felt excitement.
But after searching everywhere to buy presents for their now 10-year-old boy, Johnny's parents kind of felt hopeless.
I'm not sure if you know how hard it is to get elevator parts.
What they didn't know was that the owners of a couple local elevator companies had seen Johnny's videos and surprised him with a gift that lifted his spirits higher than the elevator to the top of the CN Tower.
So he was blown away. Nothing else mattered.
And now, if you have a playing card turned staff card, you can access Johnny's elevator-themed bedroom. which features elevator company souvenirs, all sorts of elevator signs, and a trio of actual elevator panels.
I was really thankful for the adults for getting me the parts.
While Corey is grateful for all those grown-ups too, he also couldn't be more proud of how Johnny seems to inspire people of all ages.
Because when you find your passion, you find fulfillment. And each day is magical.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Surrey.
The Sawatsky Sign-Off, brought to you by
CapitalDirect.ca. Let's make your vision a reality with Capital Direct. Call and talk to our team today.
Wow. Parents are probably very grateful he's not obsessed with roller coasters.
Yes.
Because they would be dragged all over the world to ride these crazy rides, probably
elevators, super easy.
Yeah, a lot easier.
And
They're
documenting
everywhere.
the important stuff. Do they smell?
Exactly.
Does it go fast enough?
I have to check out his page for sure. All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot for tonight. A misty morning in Maple Ridge. Thanks, Hulin, for sending this one in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well, so email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
All right, Mi Jung will be back tomorrow. Lauren, you're back at 11:30. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.